Hey guys, it's Dom from mobiledom.co.uk, and today I have the review for you of the Orange San Francisco 2. Now, as many of you know who've been watching and subscribing to my channel for a while, this is the successor to this guy here, the original San Francisco, and actually my first Android phone. They share a lot, 3.5-inch display, 3 physical buttons, even though a different order. The port placement, I'm sorry about that guys, the port placement is pretty the same. Micro USB on the side, 3.5mm headphone jack on the top, volume rocker on that side, and obviously cameras on the left side of each, right side. But this is the review of the San Francisco 2, not a recap of the San Francisco 1. Now, technically, this is more of a baby brother to the ZTE Skate, also known as the Orange Monte Carlo, which I reviewed a few weeks ago. Seeing as it has basically the same internals, it has the same 800 MHz processor, the 512 megabytes of RAM, the same 5 megapixel camera, the same 512 megs of RAM, the same WVGA resolution, even though it is now on a smaller 3.5-inch display, the same as the original. There's not much you can really say. It's basically, the reason I got this, guys, is like I said in the unboxing, I have really small hands for a guy, like really small hands, and for me the Monte Carlo was just too big. And the fact I wear lots of skinny jeans doesn't really help, so it just stuck out a lot. So, yeah. Sorry, that's just taken it back a bit. But, yeah, the original San Francisco debuted back in October 2010, or sometime near there. And that was almost 2 years ago. And since then, I have owned 3 Android devices. I have owned the San Francisco 2. The Monte Carlo and the original San Francisco. So that's about 1 per year. Except I didn't have the Monte Carlo, for very long. I only had it for about 2 or 3 months. Before that was when the honeymoon period was over, and I realised it's too big for my hands. But let's get down to business with this for a bit, guys. The dimensions. That's the word I was trying to think of. The dimensions of the San Francisco 2 are one of its pluses. It's a small device, so you can just see it in my hand here. I can easily get everything. If I put my thumb here, I can easily get everywhere without really moving it. That's one of the reasons most people still like the iPhone, is because they can hold it in one hand and their thumb can move top to bottom. So yeah. But like I was saying, the dimensions, it's 117mm from top to bottom, or I'll go from the middle because that's where it tapers ever so slightly at the end. It's 117mm from top to bottom. It's 58.5 from side to side, and the camera's not going to make it look very nice, but it's only 10.6mm, so it's ever so slightly thicker than a centimetre. But compared to this guy here, this one looks like size 0. So yeah, I've used the Galaxy S2, and it's so slim and it's lovely, and I've played around with the Droid Razr, or as you just call the Razr in the UK, and it's so thin and nice. But both of them have those, they all have like humps. So the Galaxy S2 is at the bottom and has a little camera hump, and on the Razr it has a massive hump right at the top where the camera is. But as you can see, this is almost flat. The camera lens protrudes ever so slightly, but that's so when you lay it down, the lens doesn't get scratched. And it's a fingerprint magnet. I only cleaned it a minute ago. Wow. But so 117 by 58.5 by 10.6, and it weighs only 56 grams. That's a bit much. It weighs 120 grams, so it's a slightly bit heavier than the original Galaxy S, which I believe was 119 grams. So, but it's nice because it's such a small phone, and the weight is evenly distributed. It's not top heavy. It's not weird. It just feels really nice in the hand. But I really like this, guys. It's a lovely device. So let me just take you a tour. So on the front, we have a 3.5-inch capacitive, so that means there is multi-touch. Capacitive WVGA screen, so that means there is 800 down by 480 pixels across. And for any pixel density enthusiasts out there, that's 267. So it is shy of the 300 pixels per inch Retina display. So basically, if you're not aware, with the iPhone 4, Apple introduced the Retina display with a PPI of 326, and basically they concluded if you've got 20/20 vision, your eyes cannot differentiate anything over 300 pixels per inch. So all the devices coming out, like the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, the HTC One X, the LG Optimus LTE, HTC Resound, and others that I can't name off the top of my head right now, they all have 720p discrete, 720p wow, I can't speak. They all have 720p displays and have pixel per inch rating from, I think it's 246 down to 312, and the 4.3 inch 720p displays have about 346. So that's the Sony Xperia S and the HTC Resound, and then it goes all the way up to the HTC One X with a 720p 4.7 inch with about 312. But they're all over 300 pixels per inch, which means your eyes cannot differentiate the pixels, which basically means it looks really lovely. So, but yeah, this is 267, so it's off that. But you have to look really close on this to see pixelation. I don't know why I brought it close to the camera, because you can't really see much because the camera doesn't focus very well. But I have to look rather close to the camera. Sorry, moving over. I have to look really close at the display to see anything that looks horrible, and I've got pretty good 20/20 vision. So, but if I power the screen off and take the back off, here is the memory card slot. It is hot swappable, so you don't have to take the battery out to get the SD card out. There's been a bit of controversy on this because it ships with a 2GB card from Orange, and it wasn't enough for me. So I bought a 32GB Class 10 by Kingston here, and you can see I just took it out without turning the phone off. So if I just, the phone is still on. I bought a 32GB card by Kingston, but it doesn't seem to work properly, which seems to me either think it's a dud card, or B, the phone only supports up to 16 gigs, which is really strange, seeing as both the original San Francisco and the Monte Carlo supported 32GB cards. And while I was just taking the battery cover off, guys, that is horrible. It's abysmal, and seriously, that's one of the things I can liken it to a high-end phone. It's like removing the battery cover off of, so let me just put my code in. It's like taking the battery cover off the Galaxy S2. You seriously do feel like you're going to snap it in half, and it's horrible. That's one of the few things I really dislike about this phone. And I say few because there really is few things I really don't like. Alright, let's get into it. It's got an 800 MHz processor, like the Monte Carlo. The only problem I can see, I can tell you guys, is that it's, how can I put it? It's getting a bit on a bit. It's old architecture. So basically, that for those of you who know what I'm talking about, this is an ARM v6 CPU, similar to what was in the Nexus 1, but obviously 200 MHz slower. But basically that means certain apps won't work. So Temple Run won't work because I think it's ARM v7 Plus. There is an ice cream sandwich ROM floating around for this. If you get ice cream sandwich on it, you won't be able to get Chrome Beta for Android because that's ARM v7 only. So there are certain apps which require a newer CPU. But luckily for us, there's a lovely community at Modico which gives you hacked versions. So there is a hacked version of Temple Run to work on ARM v6. There is hacked Flash. I think it's pardon me, Flash 11 for mobile, and the BBC iPlayer app if you're in the UK. So yeah, so there are workarounds, but that's something you need to know. It's not the newest, most high-end CPU, so certain things won't work. But on the CPU, guys, this thing is fast. So now, trust when I say it's fast for it to play up. But you can see here, I've got a transition animation on here, but look, so if I do it slowly, you can see it. But it's still pretty snappy. And now, obviously, I'm running a custom launcher here, but that is only because I cannot stand the stupid launcher that Orange put on here, and it was really annoying me. So I put Launcher Pro on there, and I don't care that Launcher Pro hasn't been updated in nearly a year. It's still, for me, the best launcher there is.